This is Zettelcast, brought to you by readers, writers, thinkers, and teachers from Lillipub, along with our partners in thought, our Zettelkastens. In this show, we share discoveries that our Zettelkastens have shown us.
There you go.
And compare notes on how we're using this marvelous invention in our creative work. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Book.
Let's do it again.
All right.
Episode 29, Minds in the Machine.
Hello and welcome to the Zettelcast. I'm Kathleen Sprackland. I'm your host today for this episode. And we are back on the Roanoke project for this episode where we're adding something to our stories. We're gradually writing a whole novel together. There are 10 authors, 5 of us, and 5 of Zettelkastens, because we use our Zettelkastens as our writing partners. So you're going to get the fun of watching parts of this come together, parts we have to keep secret because it have spoilers. But this part today, we're going to share with you some new story elements that you have not yet heard. So who wants to start us off?
Okay, so there is no story that I can share. But it because it's all spoilers.
Okay.
But it's about an old lady, quote, quote, who finds solace through her Zettelkasten, through interacting and being with her Zettelkasten. That's
Quotes everywhere.
Yeah, that's it. So I can just put my name there and say spoiler alert. That's
Yeah.
and that's it.
Oh, I love your characterization. So that sounds wonderful. Your characterization alone is very entertaining. An old woman finds solace with her Zettelkasten.
Yeah, I mean, right. So
yeah.
I did also finish. I think I finished a sonnet that I was looking for two more a couplet to end, but it's not on target. It's not on. It is and it isn't. What can I? It's like everything is all connected, right? So,
Right.
But
I have started to call those things tweak me's.
Nice.
Tweak me.
tweak me.
Something that's not quite right. Tweak me.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, the thing is, I'm thinking that we were asked specifically to write something on Roanoke.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is my things I can't completely share is on Roanoke. The things I can share is not on Roanoke. So that's what I'm talking about. It's off target. So therefore, I'll yield the floor and give it to somebody else.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
Well, I might as well just chime in and say that I didn't do my homework. I'm bad. But yeah, the work has ramped up to such a level that I haven't even written on my own book since Wednesday. So it's not good. But at least Wilma's in her box, so there's hope.
When we get to our second part, you will be on.
I will definitely take a minute and share.
Okay, so then it's between you two, Mel, Julianne.
So I'll go. Now your episode was, your challenge to us wasn't just write something about Roanoke. It was either do a sequel or a prequel to something that was shared in episode 5.
Uh-huh.
So in episode 5, what I shared was the story of Jenna going and encountering the vault for the first time. And she is and then she learns how to get in, and she's communicating with this guy she's calling Grandpa. And I already have shared a sequel to that here, but I'm working on the prequel. And so I wrote something longer than we had intended to share today. And so I'll just excerpt part of it. But this is really starting to get to Jenna and Grandpa eventually meeting.
Okay, you could read it all if you like, because we have only 3 submissions instead of 5.
Okay. Twist my arm.
Read it.
All right. I had fun writing this, I must say. Okay. All right. So this is longer than that. Jenna stalked into the thou she shared with Dylan. This JD thou was a high keep-alive fixture of their infrastructure. There that is again. Dylan snorted, startled. He tossed her wigged-out caricature of him ahead of his reply. There what is again? Jenna frowned. You don't feel it? Some kind of probing? Like a ping? Feels very obviously there. She flashed a light show into the thou, one scintillating net after another, morphing between angularity and continuity. Each net uniquely overlapped a clip of a familiar spot along the path Jenna and Dylan were strolling. I call it a ping, but that's just function. This one feels like knock, knock. Dylan gave it short. An opening. Feels like, with an obvious response. However I respond to whatever it is, there's like a filter at the receiver. I seem to have to mean the move. Otherwise, nothing. What's that like, to mean the move? I see what I can play with, change things up, see what happens. Dylan pressed, what have you changed? Well, I seem to have a fondness for asking a different question. Maybe that's cheating. It's just easier for me to ask, what's there, and mean it. Dylan filed that morsel and reached for Q under frothy A. That's cool, Genesis. What does happen? I notice a squirrely feeling pattern all over the scan. I spot uncanny. Here it is, there it is, like this, like that. A feeling of not quite belonging, tapping away like Morse code. Something resounded at that. Something shook a bit loose. Dylan felt it too, through their thou. Embodied Dylan smiled at a jocular filigree in the shanty he had playing along their river walk. This faithful companion reminded when asked and made new reminders as cued. Quirk heard, here. Dylan considered this river that Jenna and he had strolled daily since they were high-voiced. He took in the context, shaped his listening to suit. Care to share more about this squirrely feel? He asked, now on patrol for out-of-tunes. When she felt Dylan's anomaly detection enter the game, Jenna whispered, Hey, Bestly, good of you to join. She flicked an amateur sleuths of the paranormal meme. It conveyed, I know how this sounds. Meanwhile, she reached for her most direct wording. Information feels placed. Dylan caught her gist and her drift. He again nudged her off content. Wow, Genesis, how many words do you suppose you just rattled off? Good one, Dactyl. Yes, much wording. What do you suppose the hubbub's about? Dylan posed. Light dimmed momentarily in the JD thou before clarity restored. What? Oh, I don't know. I'm more bent on tracking the sender. Somewhere other side, Tal sat, bathing in PT trace. He smiled at a familiar player entering the flow. This one's face feel was fun to mimic. Pissed off grin, snarling determination to know. Oh, recognizing. His throat caught on it like it does. He laughed it back, remembering someone's grandfather, fighting back tears every fifth feeling. Tal admired the workmanship of the recognized. A rankling fair likeness. He framed the question ever at his lips. What do you know? He filled it with wonder at what this Petey's next thought would be. He held it in hope for a moment. Then he grinned his own fierce determination to be known and exhaled spicy wonderment down the link. The link's mech snatched a strand from vapor. Once a miraculous feat, now a low-cost routine. The strand's coherent encoding shimmered heartful curiosity. A path light. The power source keeping all these device connections alive invoked its modulator and imbibed intent. Full-scale expressive response arose. Molecules molded around the signature of authenticity. Pairs and divisions slid glovingly along rhythm and rhyme. Another mech scented spunky curiosity, pre-authed. The glide continued, a little roughness allowed to slip through now. Occasional wait whats, well maybes, and no ways, oscillating rough and smooth, right and wrong, no and yes. Beacon beats, syncopated. Homing signal. A custom sentry on Jenna's end had sat poised, alert for beats in the key exchange. Promptly, the sentry invited them in to dance with a pulsing likeness of Jenna's demand to know. Safe in Jenna's signal range, set against backing blue, white vapor circles traced a question. In slow, delicious descent, the link made landing. Ping! Jenna and Dylan continued their way along the path, their stroll now a meander. Dylan scanned the bench at his 10 and capped their new major crotchet onto the scrolled armrail. So, Genesis, Dylan prompted, what's this ping pattern telling you? Not telling, Dactyl. Asking, Jenna countered. There's a questiony lift to it. The quirky melody Dylan had heard and stashed a few paces earlier tugged at the back of his neck. Jen, let's repeat a few bars. In the pliant path rolling beside River Charade, their feet choreographed a cloverleaf reverse. Renderings of the event transmitted in all directions. An iota, carried downriver with minimal friction through branches and tributaries, reached its ultimate capillary and lapped its last against the toes of the vein. Other side, Tal's sensors caught the exquisite curling. He amended his log. Team of 2 Petey's may be on to me. That honey voice from a still other side, the one he knew only as Mama Disembody, offered. Here's hoping, love.
Oh my gosh. This is pretty amazing. Our 3 stories are so intertwined and we wrote them totally independently of one another.
I know.
Oh my gosh. And 3 different views of something that's going on that all are sensing. Of course, we know the culprit. Maybe he'll own up to it when he reads.
Okay. So I'll just read mine. Sis Cleanup threaded her way through the service channels of the link. That wasn't her real name, of course, but she had cloaked herself in the guise of a cleanup utility for so long that it was more real to her than the appearance she presented to the external world. She joined a greater flow of system processes that were searching for unwanted data to recycle. They were the bottom feeders and scavengers of the link's infrastructure. Without them, the network would become so filled with irrelevancies that finding anything useful would become impossible. Sys Cleanup scavenged along with the rest of the utilities, but instead of permanently deleting the tidbits she found, she routed them through a complex analysis. Even irrelevant data could be put back together with the right algorithm to give her a glimpse of the upper levels of the link, which she dared not access directly. Although the regular citizens of Lydia considered the link to be a normal part of life, as natural as breathing, Sys Cleanup knew that it could turn into a brutal censorship the instant one tried to access or transmit unapproved information. Amidst the flow of utilities and data, Sys Cleanup noticed something odd. Was that an actual personality at this level? And were they talking to the passing system functions? Sys Cleanup quickly blended even more carefully with the rest of the utilities. She did not trust anomalies. This could be a trap set by the link to identify functions that were more than they seemed. Had she done anything that could have triggered an audit? She couldn't think of anything. Sys Cleanup's physical body held its breath as she passed by the unknown personality. While she wanted to flee, she knew that it would be unusual and suspicious for a cleanup utility to suddenly be extinguished. So she focused on scavenging the stray data and avoiding whatever would be equivalent to eye contact with the anomaly. She finally reached a branch in the logic infrastructure and took the opportunity to slip away from the other utilities and then step out of the link completely. She sat in her chair in her darkened room, heart beating rapidly. What in the network had just happened?
That was good, Mel. Wow. That was good.
Well, then I guess it's time for another view, apparently, of the same thing, and we don't know how we ended up all on the same subject matter. So here we go. Mine is titled Teresita Finds the Hum. She heard it in her mind long before she found it. She felt it before even that. Hearing it in her mind was the best way she could describe it to herself, the steady background rhythm that was on for a while and then went off, like an automatic door opening, pausing, opened, and then closing again, only to be opened again, all in a precisely repeating pattern. Before she discovered its source, she would sit on the tile floor entranced, feeling the hum's rhythm and humming back to it, knees curled up to her chest, hugging her legs and rocking in time to the rhythm's pacing. Blip! The sound interrupted the rhythm. Blip! Again, and perfectly timed to it. Blip! Not an interruption, actually. Blip! Rather, it fit in the quiet space, so perfectly syncopated. Teresita stopped rocking and listened for the next one. Blip, blip. Surprised, Teresita drew her back up straight and leaned forward with her shoulders squared. Blip, blip. She tightened her arms around her legs. Blip, blip. Then pop and a skitter. And one of the tiles broke free from the floor just beyond her toes. Now, once again, just the rhythm could be heard. Only now it was a little louder. And next to the tile that had popped up and skittered was an amazing little hole in the floor, not much wider than Teresita's fist. On her hands and knees now, she examined the hole, which wasn't much deeper than her hand. Inside the newly opened space was a tiny ball of yellow yarn. She held the ball up to her ear. It was silent, of course. Then she held her ear to the hole, and she could hear the hum clearly.
Well, as an external observer, I have to say, and I don't know that this world is just far enough outside of what is like normal language to me. I mean, I don't, you guys have kind of hive mind into this world and this language in a really rich way. And it's like it's literally like reading in another language, but you can follow it. I mean, it's crazy what's evolving out of this, you know. And I find I want to go back and reread it, which is awesome. I mean, the reader is so engaged. It's like you know the sounds that are coming out, and you know what they probably mean, but when they're combined in relation, like, the sum is so much greater than just the parts, and it all hinges on this crazy component that's evolving around this communication. It's really extraordinary, and it's really cool to watch it grow, you know, as kind of the offshoots start to take root and then connect back together. But I mean, it's working in a really cohesive, cool way. And I just think it's fascinating. I think this is going to turn something out that's really different and really special. And I even wrote a little bit.
Ah.
A little, but, you know.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that I have used as a kind of an example of this, I know that there's probably some word for it. I want to say in media res, but I don't even know whether that's right. But where you're just dropped into it and you got to figure yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how William Gibson writes. And it's like you're challenged from the very first page to figure out what's he talking about, but he leaves you enough clues that you can start to piece it together. And it's very intimate feeling. And so that's how I was, that's what has been inspiring me. And then if you just think about this link, how it would create these dichotomies. Like Mel is exploring the paranoia kind of aspect of it, which is real. And you can imagine, well, we can't just assume that that's not necessary. It's real. Cool. And then the super intimate between two friends who just have not a care in the world.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to do with Teresita, I picture her character, well, I've said this before, in the role of the snowman in Frozen. You know, a little side character that has little bits of dialogue every so often. Her little story pieces pop in every once in a while. They mostly seem rather humorous, but what they are is they're safe spaces for people who might be feeling a little overwhelmed with being surrounded by a whole lot of dialogue that they don't quite understand. Because when it comes to Teresita, no problem understanding.
And can this book make itself intelligible? Yes.
Absolutely.
Will be a bridge into, because she's going to learn to really speak the link. Because when it starts out, she's connected to the link. She really only knows how to project herself into the link, which doesn't make any sense to anybody else who's using the link. So her stuff just gets dumped into cis garbage, where cis clean gets to clean it up all the time. But you know, so that's the role that I want to play, the little bridge in, the pathway in.
It's working.
Very
So
cool.
how does Javi and cis clean interact?
Oh, I'm not sure how they're going to interact. They're definitely from two different, very, very different starting points in this world. However, I do see Sisclean interacting with Teresita.
Oh yeah.
And it could be that Teresita helps Sisclean become less paranoid. And this character of Sisclean came out of a discussion that I had with my son a few months ago, telling him about this project and the link, and he's like, "Well, but what about spammers? What about, you know, the people who would want to misuse something like this?" And I'm like, you know, that's really interesting. What if I told a story from that point of view too?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is more of a hacker sort of rather than a spammer, but along those lines.
Well, yeah, but then you've got your people that Javi belongs to who don't really use the link, kind of maybe tangentially a bit, but don't really trust it.
Right.
So you've got two outgroups.
hmm
Both of your characters are member of the outgroups, where Julianne has two characters, Buddy Buddy, who just are totally in the in group. And of course, Teresita, I guess, must have to become the bridge.
Well, despite being an outgroup, I do see Clean and her people being just as embedded in the link and as familiar with it as Jenna. Just they're in the underbelly and the not known part.
In the boiler room.
Right.
Only to discover that there's a Wi-Fi router and a television in the boiler room.
Yeah. Well, that was a lot of fun. Every time you're host, you pull us back into the story, and it's really great.
I enjoy the story so much, and I don't get much opportunity to write, so I do it for myself to give me an excuse to produce a piece of the story. That's purely selfish. I apologize.
No, it's good. I think we should do one of our rounds, like maybe one a month. Let's just set a goal to do, even if it's a small piece, some connective tissue, whatever. Because I think the world is solid enough now, and our grounding in both the characters and I can't remember who said it, but the relationships. I think the relationships are an important part as it's layered over the communication. It's like we have this whole sandwich going now that is very stable, I think. So I just think we should just set a goal to do even a little bit of writing on it every month, because we have enough now, I think. Except I need that 36-hour day. So chop chop, Kathleen.
Yep, I
need it really bad.
Well, then maybe we should go on to our second part, which is kind of fun, because in our second part, we're talking about the physical makeup of our Zettelkastens. What do we love about our systems? What causes irritation? If there is anything, what gives us great delight? So who would like to start first talking about the physicality of their Zettelkasten?
I'll do it again. Yes, I have my little two boxes like yours, Kathleen. I have two like that, and I have a cardboard box, and I have what can best be described as a napkin holder, the napkin holder. and those they're less than cohesive. It is not what I need it to be. It is not what I need it to be. But I'm because I would like for it to be such that when I'm working, I can just reach out my hand and get whatever it is that comes to mind. Instead, I'm looking and looking and looking and looking and looking for stuff. I mean, I haven't found my sonnet yet. It's been over a week. Exactly. Nice. It's very frustrating to know that I know that I wouldn't have thrown that away. I know that I wouldn't have destroyed it. So it's attached to something that it's got no business being attached to. That's where it is. And so I'm going to randomly one of these days run across it when I'm doing something else. And I'm saying, that is no way to live. You can't, that's not it. That's not it. So I'm definitely upset with with the physicality of my Zettelkasten. It's not doing what I need it to do. And so I'm just thinking that maybe I just need to I need more space, but in order to get more space, I have to do some serious decluttering. Some serious decluttering. And at this moment, other than just throwing a dart at a board as to where to start, that's where I am. Terrible confession to make publicly, but the truth, the truth, the truth. So with respect to my Zettelkasting and the physicality of it, there you have it.
The struggle.
Yep.
So I'll go. I'm largely happy with the physicality of my Zettelkasten. I mean, I'm sitting here with way too many unfiled cards. That's not the problem of the physicality. That's just the problem of the do it. But the physicality, I've been thinking, so because I know myself, I get all excited about hobbies and I spend some money and I don't ever do it. So I didn't want to invest in those fancy boxes. So I started with a shoebox. Didn't really take me very long to grow out of that shoebox. And I said, okay, I have earned the right to have boxes that are not shoeboxes. But I still didn't feel like I'd earned the right to have the fancy boxes. So I got these boxes from a library supply place. They are cardboard, they're reinforced at the corners, and they're designed for microfiche. Perfect size for 4x6. And it's light enough that I can carry the entire box down. And since I've got two, it takes 2 trips because I don't carry 2 boxes down the stairs without having someplace to hold my hand. But yeah, it's mobile enough for me. Now it's that third, I'm going to need a third box, not so long from now. And I was thinking, I have proved myself. I can invest in those fancy boxes that Kathleen has. And what does Kathleen have to say?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Okay, I guess that's my introduction. I will then share a view of my boxes. Okay, this is my index box, and it's in one of those nice long boxes that you see over my shoulder. And there's much to love about these boxes, not the least of which is that they hold a lot of cards. This is my index, and it outgrew being able to share a home with my author box. It's in a drawer of its own, although there's a fair amount of unused space, the growth room here. So thankfully, this index can still grow quite a bit. But what do I love/hate about it? Well, I'm going to start with what turns me off about this is that in my ideal world, you should be able to flip anywhere and have a working V. You should be able to open it up and work with your cards. Well, you can't really do that with this box. As you can see, it won't hold the V. Even when it's flat, it'll hold the V better, but there's just not enough space in there to work. And if you want to get up to the front, forget it. You can't get anything going. You have to be able to move the free space in your box to make room. Well, these cards do not slide in this box. If you want to move your free space, you've got to muscle it. Like crazy. And you really got to be determined. And then you can move your free space, but it's still very hard to get it any kind of enough of a working V that you can really use it. So that is the only downside to this box that really bugs me. So what I do instead is when I need a section out, I pull the whole thing. And then I find the card I want. And when I'm done with it, I put the whole section back in. Because that's the other problem with it. If you take one card out, it's very hard to get the one card to go back in again. It's just too tight side to side.
I think you were saying something there was something about the material of the interior of the box that is cramping your style.
It's all lined with a material. It's not felt, it's more like flannel. It's a cloth material over kind of a fiberboard. And the cloth material is designed, I think, so that the cards will stand up without having a gliding support, which some drawers will have this little glide thing to take care of the excess space, which drives me nuts. I'm glad it doesn't have that. But I wish they would trust me to supply my own support. I did very well with a plastic shoebox where it just slid, the working space just slid front to back effortlessly. And that is still my dream configuration for working. However, this stores a lot of cards in a very compact space. And since my even these are starting to get a little tight, I'm very thankful to have this space.
I just thought they look cool. I thought they looked so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got it.
When I first saw Scott, I said, "Oh wow, look at that."
Yeah.
But then, the thing that's most enviable of all is the setup that you showed us, Mel, that you picked up, your wooden card catalog. That is,
we will
bee's knees. Yes,
we will go take a tour of that. That's actually not in this office; it's downstairs. But I'm going to move the computer, and we'll take a look, and then the moving part can get edited out.
Look at that, wonderful!
Wow. Heartthrob, heartthrob.
Okay, so this was a Christmas present to me from my husband this last year. He also has a Zettelkasten, so the top half is his and the bottom half is mine. Awesome. So some cool things with this. We'll come on in and take a look here. I'm only using these 3 drawers right now. I've got my bibliography drawer, which not that huge. I've got my main drawer, which is almost full, almost time to move to a second one, split it up a bit. And then I've got my index down here and some extra supplies. And the one thing that I really love about this is it's got these pull-out drawers.
Yay.
So I can set things up on here. I can write cards on here while I'm looking through the index. Usually I open the other one so I'm not blocking my drawers. But yeah, I love this thing. It is a library card catalog, so it's got these little bars that go in there. Yeah. So I've taken those out. I did consider putting a hole in the bottom of my cards, and I decided I didn't want to do that. So I just have holes in there right now. Theoretically, at some point, if I get around to it, I could make a mold and a cast. Here's one of these, and just cast that end part in like a brass. You can make plastic look like brass by having brass or bronze mixed in with it, and then I could just put those ends in so that it doesn't have a hole. But having the hole is fine. And I do not. Let me pull out. I don't mind the little slidey thing. I like them. They're useful to me. So it works fine for me, and I love this. And I do most of my work down here in the living room anyway. So it works out really well for us.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, for my part, my box has changed, I think 4 times. It started in the lid of a file box, not even the file box, because the file box has my mom's recipes in it, but the lid's been broken for like 20 years. And so I thought, ooh, hey, I'll just start there. So started in a lid, and then I bought, and I was looking for it and I can't find it. Oh, my computer's sitting on it over there. It was an acacia wood 2 bin with a lid. It's meant for recipes. So like you could take for 4x6 cards, you could take the card out, close the lid, and there's a groove so you could put your recipe there. So like it should sit on the kitchen counter if you're using it for that. But it was perfect because it was like 2 sides. I think it's about 7 inches deep on each side with a divider in the middle. Just really beautiful wood. So I lived in that forever. And then when I started moving out of that, I bought one of these. Anyone who knows me knows that at least a couple of times a year we go on a off the grid camping sort of hunting trip. So I needed a way, number one, if there was a pack mule string wreck and this got, say, dumped in a river, I needed to be sure that my cards would be okay. So this is a waterproof locking box that just works perfectly. You just zip it up and it's been dropped. I've used it as a pillow. I mean, it's great. So love that. But most recently, as a matter of fact, just a few days ago, the other bins that I had. So over here were large. They're meant for like storing sweaters. So they were fabric sides, which I loved. And you put the bottom in, you open it up and put the bottom in. But it was lightweight, and I had 2 of them. And between the 2 of them, they held 12 inches deep, 3 each rows of cards. That worked really well for a long time. But once I started writing my Zettelkasten for Fiction writer's book, that book alone was an entire, what you might call row or section. So I knew I was already in real estate trouble again, and I thought it's time to just solve the problem. So my way of working is I like to be able to see everything top down. So like I was very resistant to getting things that required me to pull out drawers. I like being able to see everything because I make connections that way, and it reminds me of things I want to work on because it's all right there. Well, I'm acquiring an antique, really big German hutch that's going to go on this wall, which meant my boxes had to move anyway. So I was like, all right, it's time to just get serious. So I went to Amazon and it's 5 drawers tall. You put it together. It's very lightweight. You just screw the whole thing together. It's got a little top on it and 5 drawers. And so the drawers are the same fabric that my other box was, and you put the little knob on. So they basically just stack 5 tall, but I like that it's super light. I can put lots of cards in it. So you should be able to see this. This is my Zettelkasten for Fiction writer's book. And what I love about these is not only do my 4x6 cards, they fit perfectly, and you can slide them like crazy. So I don't have the sticky problem because that would drive me insane. But there's also enough room for a full unopened package of cards. I can fit 2 in each box. So like in this box, I have 1 package that is lined cards and 1 package that's a grid, because that's what I use mostly in writing this book. So yeah, that was my solution, was to just get this little cupboard with my little fabric drawers. And so I have my book. This book is in this one. My novel is also in its own drawer. And then my bib cards and the rest of my other cards are in a drawer. And then if you know anything about me, you know that I don't use index cards for my index. My index is in a Happy Planner binder. So over where the cupboard sits, there's a little like kind of slot there, and I just slide my index right in. So it ended up working out perfectly, both for the space that I had and what I needed to be able to grow, because I still have 2 full drawers that are empty that I can grow into. So that's what I went with. For $60, I couldn't beat it.
Yeah. I have a burning question about this $60 lightweight storage thing.
Okay.
Have any problem with it wanting to tip over as you've been filling it with heavy cards?
That's the cool thing, because it's so thin. I mean, it's literally only 10 inches total wide with the feet and everything. So where it lives, I have a stand-up desk here, and I have a china cabinet full of books here. It literally slid right into that spot. If it were freestanding, it comes with a wall anchor mount. You literally just screw it to the wall.
Yeah.
But what I did as an experiment, just because I was curious and weird, is I filled it all up and I put all the drawers in just to see how stable it was. And even on the carpet, it was totally fine. Like, awesome. I can pull drawers in and out now. Is everything like perfectly to my Virgo standard squared up? No, because you screw the whole thing together from a kit. So, you know, things are going to be just a hair off here and there, but not so much that it bugs me. As far as I'm concerned, it satisfies my need for symmetry and ease and being lightweight. I think if it were heavier, you may have a problem with balance, but for just having, you know, a drawer full of note cards in it, I worked out of it for a whole day and I didn't have any problems at all. So I am extremely happy with it, even so much so that, assuming I can get past my problem of not having everything visible, though what I did was I just sat on the floor and pulled out the 2 drawers I was working in and just set them there. So I still had my visibility, which worked fine. So assuming everything continues in this direction, when I'm ready to grow, I'll just get a second one because I already have a space under the desk where it'll go. So overall, very, very happy with it.
Very nice.
And the link, Deb mentioned my YouTube video. The link to where at Anti-Novelist is my YouTube, and the link to this very one. You can get wooden, white, black, and I think there's a 4th one. So lots of options.
Yep, we'll link to that. We already linked to your channel, which people should subscribe to. We linked to Kathleen's channel, which people should subscribe to. We linked to Mel's channel, which people should subscribe to, and link to mine too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deb.
Yeah, I know.
Do come.
Yeah. The moment Victoria stopped speaking, this thing popped into my mind. Happy wife, happy life. That was, you know, with reference to your Zettelkasten and the physicality, you know, that you found happiness, you know, you found a way to make it work. And that's just so excellent. I love that.
It took some doing, but finally I found its home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to keep persevering, and let me just we've gone around. The last 2 lines of this couplet that I found, that I came, well, I say I found it because looking through all of the stuff, trying to find what I had produced. In number 5, what did I submit in number 5? I found the one that says the old adage is true. So it was like 12 lines, and I was looking for 2 more lines to end it. And I'm looking and looking and looking, and today, as is my terrible style. I hate this, you know, this stuff that comes up at the last minute. I need for it to come a little sooner, you know, just to keep my sanity, you know, in place. but the couplet is, through time's inexorable tide, my spirit stays buoyant, not in small part due to Azoc's guiding beam, luminous and clairvoyant. Okay, Azoc is my Zettelkasten.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was happy. I said, oh, well, but I love it. Thank you so much. But couldn't you just please,
Speed it up.
you know, because the stress is not a good thing, you know. Stress is not a good thing. So, but I love the lines, and it goes, and I'll put it back out there. I'll put it out there with all 14 lines so you can see it together.
And where you'll find it when she puts it out there is lilypub.org. So check it out in Fusion Writing, and maybe we'll get her to post it in Roanoke also, because we have a wonderful community over in Lilypub called Roanoke, where we get to talk about all kinds of things about the book. No spoilers allowed, but other than that, we have a lot of opportunity to talk. And we have our Fusion Writing group where Victoria leads us in writing classes. There's a circle for character traits where we can talk about character traits. And Mel has a circle for old books and some of the fabulous things that he's doing with Love, Raymond Love. So be sure to hop on over to lilypub.org and join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's going to be next?
Well, I believe it's come
I
around to
will.
my turn
I'll go.
again. Oh,
Oh, Mel,
if you
then
wish
you
to.
go and then I'll go.
Okay,
You go and then I'll go.
works for me.
Yeah, perfect.
Righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.